lastly, and most importantly, here is my key selling point and differentiates me from everybody else in this race. And actually, my mail piece is dropping today that will hit the mailboxes tomorrow, which I'll be happy to send you a copy of. No, it's not one of those. It's a pretty cute little piece, creative. It says, in a crowded field, one candidate stands out from the crowd.
Right.
And what differentiates me is I am the only candidate in this race that has the experience and brings the relationships to the table to bridge city and county relations.
Okay.
That's a huge issue out there in the public that I found out, talking with folks, because they're demanding more fiduciary responsibility, more accountability, more cooperation. I think folks are frustrated with the overlap and redundancy of services. And everybody can talk about that, but where I'm really going with this is the leadership of county council. People like Greg Pierce, Paul Livingston, David Jeter, their leadership, they're friends of mine.
Yeah.
I serve with those folks. Not just the elected officials, but people like Milton Pope and Tony McDonald and all the other people who work in the county. They respect me. They trust me. For the first time ever, if I'm elected, they will have somebody at the city who will be able to create a sincere dialogue, channel of communication to try and get the city and the county to work together. Because I think the county wants to be more efficient and consolidate services. At least they were when I was there. We tried. The city never seemed like they wanted to for whatever reason. I don't know the answer. They would say they wanted to until you guys they wanted to.
Right.
But then when you got time to vote on something and move something forward, it never happened.
Yeah.
So, there are two sides to every story, and I don't know what those issues were. But if I'm on city council, I'm going to push for the city and the county, especially in these tough economic times that we're in. We need fiduciary responsibility to do more, to be more efficient and consolidate services. I think it's the right thing to do.
Well, speaking of consolidating services, what about the whole enchilada? What about consolidation?
I support it. I support it 100%. I think it would be something that would have to go up to public for to vote.
Right.
And it will probably happen in my lifetime. But I don't think it's something the city and county can do on their own. I'm sure that would require some, state statutes. But even until that happens, there's still no excuse to not have law enforcement work together, to not have zoning and planning work together, to have two recreation departments.
Yeah. And
I can give you a prime example, Brad.
Well, one of the problems with recreation is you've got a special purpose district.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, which you guys have harped on for years, but that could be changed, right?
Yeah. Theoretically.
Well, can't the legislature change it?
Well, the delegation has tried.
Right.
And I honestly, at this point, I cannot remember.
It's going to take state law, not.
You can't do local legislation.
Right.
Because the governor will veto it, and rightly so. Because it's not constitutional.
I agree with you.
It's just the way we've always done business.
I agree with you on local legislation, but if that's something that the state could address, statewide,
that's right.
then it could happen. So, and I'm going to give you a prime example of that. Several years ago,
you know why they won't?
No, I don't.
Because there are something like 500 special purpose districts.
Yes, and they got
every one of them has its board and all these people who are invested in it, and it's just massive.
Yeah, they're fire districts.
And all those people are connected.
But it's inefficient.
That's right. It's crazy.
It's inefficient.
And these people come in and they say, they come in and talk to us at the editorial board saying, but we do a good job. And I'd say, but that's not the point.
No,
this is no way to govern things.
It's inefficient. So, zoning and planning. The planning commissions and planning departments and zoning is a no-brainer.
Right.
Recreation is a little more complicated with some of the state issues and legislation, but one thing that's interesting there that happened several years ago, the county, we were identifying property out in southeast Columbia to build a park, which is now the Garnish Ferry Sports Complex, which has a soccer field and I think a future planned senior centers facility out there. About 6 months after we bought property, the city went out and bought property in Southeast Columbia and built a tennis complex.
Yeah.
There was no coordination, no collaboration. Had the city and county been working together, we could have pooled our resources and money, could have been a joint park, and built a soccer tennis complex for probably half the cost and been that much more efficient. So it's just like, we have got to do those things. I mean, the public deserves it. It's not about protecting, someone's political turf. It's about being more efficient and more accountable. So, that's sort of my 4-part platform.